I have a team of people. Everybody who works for me right now are men. I've noticed if I hire someone and they're female, I have to be careful about how I talk to them, even giving criticism. And maybe it's me, but I feel like I have to be a little bit nicer, or a little bit more gentler. Whereas with a dude, I can be like, can you just not do this again? And they're like, yeah, no problem, won't do it again. But if it's female, I'm like, okay, you did like this a little bit wrong. Here's how to do it a little bit better. Overall, you're doing a great job. Everything's fine. Please don't be upset.
I was a man, and I'm not a man, but if I was a man, I wouldn't hire a woman. I wouldn't do it. And I say it all the time, and I say that, and that is something that women need to consider when they're talking about this stuff. When you are saying that a man complimenting you and saying, I really like your outfit today, is a form of sexism. If you're a man, why hire a woman, right? So you fought all this time to be able to get into the workforce, only to say these are going to be the rules. You know, if you say anything, even if you compliment me, if you look at me, anything, I'm going to have a reason to fight you. And by the way, you're going to want to settle and pay me, because even just the stain of an accusation is enough to ruin men. So if you're a guy, right, in this society, in this Me Too environment, in this litigation-rich environment of misogyny and sexism and all of these claims, what is the value add? What's the risk? You know, the benefit and the risk. I can't do the analysis.
Everything they said is true. They're much harder to work with, and also much riskier to work with, because of the fact that one of them can simply say you did something that you didn't do, and that alone is enough to have very serious consequences on your life.
Did you know 60% of male managers say they are uncomfortable working alone with a woman out of fear of complaints of sexual harassment? Women in the workplace. Men, do not avoid working with women because you're afraid of sexual harassment complaints. That is gender discrimination. To avoid sexual harassment complaints, do not sexually harass people.
What she doesn't realize is that you can get a complaint despite not doing anything. Trying to gaslight them into thinking it's wrong isn't going to make them change their mind. They would rather be safe than sorry.
A paper came out recently that looked at the impact of the Me Too movement on academia, and it actually shows that post-Me Too, women's productivity fell largely due to fewer collaborations with male researchers. The paper shows that this drop is most pronounced at universities where the perceived risk of harassment accusations is highest. So the actual findings comparing research before and after the movement are right here. And as you can see, after the Me Too movement, collaborations with male researchers inside the same institution fell to close to zero. The author points out that men feel like if they accidentally say the wrong thing, they could be canceled or fired. She also notes that institutions that have clear policies on harassment help reduce this perceived risk. And this isn't just in academia. The paper also cites a 2018 study which showed that 60% of male managers are uncomfortable participating in common activities with women due to the same concerns. And a curious finding of the study was that men make up for the loss in this collaboration by just collaborating more with other men, whereas women don't make up for it at all. The author concludes her findings by saying that Me Too was important for raising awareness, but it's also increasingly important for institutions to have really clear sexual harassment guidelines.
Men don't want to be constantly walking on eggshells, hoping they don't get fired just because a woman didn't like something they said. So obviously, the natural response is to avoid them to prevent that from happening altogether.
I used to work with all men, and people would always be like, oh, you must get hit on all the time if you work with all men. But what I had to explain was that actually in settings where it's like 70% men, 30% women, the women get hit on all the time. But in this case, I was literally the only woman on a 20-person team. And in those cases, the men just act like there are no women there and they ignore you. At least that's what I told myself.
We talked for a moment about Me Too. You've rejected the idea that we should always believe the victim in a rape.
Well, that's
accusation.
obvious. That's what happened in the lynch cases in the 1950s in the United States. The victim was always believed.
Yes, and I was going to say that's fair enough. But why not accept the situation as being the victim deserves to be treated as if she's telling the truth in our attempts to get at the truth, and in doing that, we do our best not to re-victimize her.
Because that isn't how the adversarial system works, and I don't think
But
that we
why
have
not advocate for that?
Because
Rather
the
than
adversarial system is a very effective judicial system, and it's certainly the case that among crimes that are falsely reported, crimes are at the top of the list. So there is no believing the victim. There's no reason for people to assume that when they enter the criminal justice system that they're going to be treated with kid gloves or treated easily.
Yeah. Since the Me Too movement, I would never recommend any man to be speaking to any one of his colleagues because it comes at a huge risk. If she likes your advances, it's going to be all fun and games. If she doesn't, she's going to be at Karen and HR in the morning and you're losing your job, but they're telling you about workplace misconduct and inappropriate behavior and stuff like that because it's been changed so far and men have to protect themselves and you know, I think...
But isn't that hypocrisy? Why is it that if a woman fancies you, your advances are okay?
Yeah.
But if she doesn't fancy you, then it's deemed as something that is negative.
It's because
Does that mean that we've forgotten how to have discernment as women?
Yes, because what's happened now is, like what Pearl said is, like, someone is going to say to you that was wrong.
I do not want to work for the rest of my life. Does it look like I want to get up at 6 a.m. every fucking day for the next 60 years? No, I'm too pretty for that.
Newsflash, my love, beauty is a depreciating asset. Yes, your beauty will fade just like everybody else's. You are no exception. And once your beauty fades, you will have nothing to bring to the table. And once you don't have anything to bring to the table, the people that were giving you stuff because you were beautiful will take all of it back and you will be left with nothing, including no self-esteem. So instead of relying on your beauty to get ahead, why don't you go out there and get a damn job, get some skills, get some education, so when your beauty does fade, you have something to stand on, because relying on your beauty is a short-term play.
Why are all men trash? I order this coffee, sit outside on a bench to wait. On the bench next to me, there's a pretty attractive guy my age. Suddenly, his 6-year-old dad appears, and the son goes inside, okay? The dad looks at me and goes, hi. Says something creepy like, you're the essence of Easter, okay? Son comes back out. They're talking a little bit. Dad continues to talk to me. Stop. As they're leaving, the dad looks at me and goes, bye. You are a dirty, dirty dog.
What's crazy is so many women that are hitting the wall have so much to say about how men approach them, but then if men are not approaching them, then that's also a problem. It's like men need to court me, men need to lead, men need to make the first move, but when they do, then they're called pieces of shit. And this is a perfect example. Why is he a piece of shit? Because the way that you wanted him to approach you, the way you had it conjured up in your brain, because he didn't read your mind on how you wanted to be approached, now he's trash and all men are trash. Make that make sense. I'm just at a point where I don't even think that women understand what the fuck they want, because if men don't approach them, it's a problem. But then when they do, that's also a problem. And the solution is really that women should approach men if they're interested in them. But the reality is women are never going to do that because they cannot take rejection in the same way that men do. Point blank, period, because women think that they're entitled to all of this attention and they can't even fathom being rejected. But it just is so embarrassing for the good women left in the world that women come on the internet and say all men are trash simply because he said something that maybe you found creepy, but laugh it off. Get to know him. Maybe ask for his name or his number. You found him attractive. And again, where's your initiative? If you found him attractive, you could have easily flipped it and made it a really good conversation and gotten to know him. But instead, you decided to come on the internet and call all men trash. No wonder why you're single. Okay, bye.
If you enjoyed this video, I promise you'll enjoy this next video. I will see you there.